Welcome to the Healthy Happy Hour. We're coming to you a little later today because Debbie had a doctor's appointment and it ran a little long. So we're coming to you tonight. We're making Texas fajitas and guacamole salad, and we're doing it in a healthy way. So stay tuned and find out how we do it. Now, I've got everything laid out here. I didn't even get all my utensils out, sweetheart. I'm not doing well on that part of things. If you're like me, you got a utensil drawer. Debbie actually came in here and fixed this drawer the other day, and I have been able to mess it up since. Where is my meat tenderizer thing? I do not see it. Ah! I know what. There you stuck it way over there where I'd never find it. So anyway, we've got it now. We're ready to go. Well, say hey to everybody.
Hello. Elaine Carnes is watching.
Hey, Elaine. How are you doing?
And Ricky Chamberlain.
Ricky Chamberlain. Hey, Rick, man, I haven't seen you in a while. Here's the deal on steak for Texas fajitas. I'm going to go ahead and start this skillet going just a little bit here. There we go. Don't want it going too awful much. Texas fajitas are a mixture of pork and beef and chicken. A lot of places don't put pork in it. I like to do that just to cover all the food groups. And, of course, shrimp. And Texas fajitas are just a blend of all those things. Now, the reason fajitas got started, while I'm doing this, I want to talk about this. I'm going to tenderize this, and I'm taking the tenderizer end of my mallet, and I'm just kind of beating it out to get it a little bit tender. We're breaking up all those tendons and things. This is a very cheap cut of, this is eye of round. You can use skirt steak, flank steak, all kinds of things that are cheap cuts of steak. You know, fajitas got started back in Texas. They used to pay the gauchos, or the whatever they call the cowboys in the days. They used to pay them daily with just junk cuts of meat, and it was called the faja, which means like the entrails. I mean, the bad parts of meat. They paid them with the faja. So fajitas comes from the faja, or the faja, as we would want to call it. Oh. And I'm going to take this and just cut it into thin strips, cut it on the bias. And we're going to set this aside. And now our steak doesn't take long to cook. As you can see, this is very thin.
On the bias.
On the bias, you angle your knife, and I just put it against my fingers. Angle your knife 30 to 45 degrees, and it just gives you more surface area. You see how the surface area is there? You see these little tendons and things in there? Mm-hmm. Those can be very tight, and they can be a little tough if you don't tenderize it. And cutting it into short pieces. See, we're cutting across the grain. So you can pull this apart because we're cutting across the grain. If we were to cut it like this, you're cutting with the grain and you can't pull it apart as easily. So we're cutting across the grain and we're cutting it on the bias. Now, obviously, with a thicker steak, cutting it on the bias makes more sense and is more apt to do that, to be good for you.
And how much do you use?
I'm using a ½ pound of all of these ingredients tonight, just because I'm making enough for Debbie and me, and we might have some leftovers. I'll send you the recipe out a little later. And I'm putting a couple of pork chops in there, and I'm going to do the same with them. I'm going to trim off all the fat. Don't want any fat, so we're trimming off all this fat. And we will get rid of that. And same thing here. I'm going to cut this pork chop. I'm going to cut it on the bias. Get that out of the way. There's a little piece of steak wanted to escape.
Okay, so there's your beef, there's your pork.
There's the beef and there's the pork. Now let's look at the chicken. These are, of course, this is from Quality Foods in the Town Plaza Shopping Center in Toccoa. That's where all of our food comes from that we can get there. Sometimes they don't have everything I'm looking for. Get into some kind of specialty stuff every once in a while.
So you take the skin
but
off.
These are boneless. I bought these. No, I'm not. These are bone-in. Okay, so I'm going to take the chicken and I'm going to cut the bone out. And I'm just going to do this kind of quick since we're in a hurry tonight. And I want to cut this in thin strips also. Everything needs to be in strips. It cooks faster and it's heat. About that a little later too. We have some keto, if you want to call it that. We have some friendly wraps if you're on a ketogenic kind of diet. And the one that we are on is a ketogenic type diet. It is not keto, but it is ketogenic, which means you go into fat burn And once you go into fat burn, that's when you start losing your weight. And so you can obviously ask us for more information on that. We'll be happy to help you with that, because that is something we love doing, is helping people get healthy. Anyway, if you've lost your weight and are just in a transition period or in trying to maintain your weight, then we have wraps that you can use for that. Now, if you're in a weight loss situation, which both Debbie and I were in for some period of time, you would not want to use the wraps because they're a little extra carbish, but we've got some really healthy ones. So it's still healthier than doing what you would get at a Mexican restaurant. So let's put it that way.
Okay.
So
Danny Gant is watching.
Danny Ray Gant, how you doing, man? Hope everything is going good with you. By the way, a programming note, those of you that are race fans, I will be back behind the mic at Toccoa Raceway this Saturday night. Looking forward to seeing my old buddies at Toccoa. Again, I'm going to wash my hands quickly because I got this raw chicken on me, so want to get that off. And here I've got 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. We're going to put that in the pan. Don't need a whole lot. We're going to put the chicken in, and I probably should have used my bench scraper that I'm sure I can find it. We're going to put the chicken in and let it start working itself. Wash our hands again. I'm telling you, you got to wash your hands a lot when you're in the kitchen. That's just an important thing.
Jack Anderson is on with us.
Hey, Jack, I hope you're doing well. By the way, if you can hear me clearly, let me know in the comments, because Debbie and I invested in new microphones this week, so she and I are both mic'd now. So,
yeah, let us know how we sound.
yeah, let us know if we're sounding clear to you. We've been having problems with microphones over a period of time. So that's going to go 4 or 5 minutes. Now, while that is happening, we're going to prep our veggies. So I'm going to set this aside. And these are out of my garden, out of our garden. These are a couple of bell peppers that didn't get as big as I'd hoped. So in order to balance them out with these beauties I got at Quality Foods today, I've got 2 bell peppers going here. So again, bell peppers, when you go in fajitas, they're better in strips, not in chunks. So we're going to cut these in as big a strips as possible. And here's the way I like to prep my bell peppers. Just cut them out like that. Going to be some little bitty strips in this one, isn't there?
He said, Danny says we can hear us great.
Great. I'm glad to hear that, because we invested more money than usual in these microphones, so I'm glad they're coming through well. Tell you what, that's one thing Debbie has always been a fan of. Great tools to do good work. And even in all of my businesses, and furniture business and contracting business, that is one thing she was a big proponent of. Invest in good tools. And, of course, in the broadcast industry, I don't know how many of you know it or not, but I've got full-fledged radio broadcast studio here at home. I just go to the studio because it's, I don't know, there's something about when you're doing something at home and you just walk upstairs after doing a great show with your adrenaline pumping. It's just not quite the same as coming in from a radio station and having a trip to come in to kind of cool down and come down a little bit. It's just a great feeling to get off the air. I know it's for some people, it's like an adrenaline rush, really, being on the air and talking to people and knowing that you're under the gun to have to say everything live and perfect each time. And
kind of like this show.
Yeah, sometimes it'll bite you in the fanny, but not often. We've been doing it for so long now, so I can usually pretty much cover up every faux pas that I make. And believe me, I have made the faux pas throughout the years. So,
well, Brenda Cape is watching.
Brenda
so
Cape,
is
guys, Brenda, I hope y'all are doing well.
Osborne.
Oh, Christian Osborne, yeah. You know, his daddy is a county commissioner now in Banks County.
Wow.
Yeah. Chris is doing well down there from what I understand. Yeah, Christian, I think I friended him last week or so, just a brand new friend on Facebook. We've known each other forever, and he was friends on my old page, but he's just now friended my brand new page. So while these, let me give this chicken a little bit of a encouragement here. So we're going to roll through this chicken and let it continue to. Now, we're going to put all this back together in just a little while. So it's not like that we need this to be totally cooked, but I tell you what, I would like for those things to turn over a little bit there. So I'm going to get out. I think of my sister every time I use these. These were my sister's. My sister passed away last September, And this is the one thing I got from her was these tongs. And I think about her every time I use them. And my sister used to call me, and like I didn't recognize the voice. This is your sister. And I've still got a voicemail on my phone that I've kept from her, the last one I got from her. So I'll always keep that hopefully
That's
and cherish it.
sweet.
Yeah, I listen to it every once in a while. Hear Carolyn's voice.
That smells good.
Doesn't it smell good? Yeah, that's just chicken. Nothing else. No seasoning of any kind yet. So the chicken's just about done. Now we've got our bell peppers getting close. So let's work on them a little more.
Why do you use all three colors? Just for the color?
Just for the color, and honestly, all three of them have a little bit of a different taste. So that's an interesting thing, that they've got a different taste to them. Obviously, the sweeter ones and the ones that have more natural sugar in them are the ones Debbie likes the best. Imagine that. The yellows and the reds.
Well, that's because I'm so sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Sure you are.
That's right.
I'm supposed to have said that. Did I sound convincing when I said that?
No.
I meant to be.
You did not.
So this week, by the way, the popular vote last week was for us to do Mexican this week. Next week, I've already got us set on, get this, guys, we're going to do pizza. We're going to do healthy pizza, and you're not going to believe the crust we're going to make. It's going to be a real crust. You're not going to believe how we do it. All right, so now I get a platter. And I'm going to remove the chicken. Again, chicken's not cooked completely through. We're going to remove it. And I'll show you one of the gadgets that I did. You know, Debbie and I built this house. And we also built the kitchen. I did the kitchen cabinets. That was something I did for a lot of years, was build a high-end cabinetry. So here's a little special something in our cabinets. See how this slides out? Are you showing people how it slides out? Hey, sorry. And I'm going to take a little aluminum foil and cover up the chicken. But I've got all kind of little slide outs in this kitchen. I like to do that for people and make little special areas like that. Okay, so the chicken is doing its thing. So now we're going to put the pork in, and the pork's going to do its thing for a few minutes. It doesn't need to go quite as long. Why don't you put
all the meats in together?
Because everything needs to cook differently. The steak only needs to cook like a couple of minutes because you might want it more of a rare or medium rare.
Gotcha.
Whereas the chicken has to cook about 8 or 10 minutes, and this has to cook 4 or 5 minutes. I probably could have put this in with the chicken, but I didn't want to risk it. That is a chicken bone. How did that get in there?
Marcus Hughes is watching.
Marcus Hughes, man, twice now a winner in the Monster Mini Stock Association. I haven't congratulated you, Marcus, since you're on your win at Livonia, but how cool was that to get 2 in a row? Gosh, he broke a drought a couple of weeks ago, and or about 3 weeks ago, and then came back last week and won again at Livonia, 2 in a row.
Wow.
Marcus, I'm so proud of you, man.
Darlene Adams is watching.
Darlene
and Jimmy
Adams.
Robinson.
Hey, Jimmy.
Jimmy's, I hope, feeling better.
Jimmy, you're on our prayer list. Matthew Duval, who's a good friend of yours and ours, we are in small group with life group, with him at Ebenezer. And he put you on the prayer list this week. And so just wanted you to know that everybody in our life group is praying for you. So I hope you're going to be doing well. By the way, speaking of Ebenezer, it is a great church. In case you are looking for a church home, we have our services at 9 o'clock and 10:30 every Sunday. And we have a great life group. It's called H2O, Him to Others. So that's what it stands for. And so we'd love to have you there at 10:30. We do our worship. Debbie and I go to the 9 o'clock worship service. And both services are identical. You know, some churches have like a contemporary service and a traditional service, where we have the same service both times. And, of course, we're online. You can follow us on Facebook or I think YouTube. Also, they have a channel on there. But it's Ebenezer, Toccoa, and Ebenezer Baptist. If you're into denominations, we are happy to have everybody there.
Vinny Livingston is watching.
Vinny, man. Vinny's been a friend like a couple of weeks now on Facebook, and I see him all the time on our things. Tonight we're also fixing guacamole. Actually, it's a guacamole salad. You know, when you get fajitas, you usually get guacamole salad and refried beans. And I'm going to be fixing refried beans here in a few minutes. I'm probably not going to show you that because I'm just going to warm them in the microwave. But the secret,
tell us about it.
Yeah, the secret to good refried beans. Number one, let me show you. I start off with a good brand. I start off with either Bush's or Lux makes a good refried bean, and also Taco Bell has their refried beans out now, so you can get them. But I like Bush's, and I put about a tablespoon of low-fat sour cream in it and mix it up, makes it real creamy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the secret. That's how Mexican restaurants get them tasting so good, is they put that low-fat sour cream in there and make it real creamy. All right, so this has got another minute or so to go, and we'll be pulling that out. And then we'll get going with our veggies. If you want to tell me what you'd like for me to start cooking, you can let me know, and I'll be happy to cook that for you on a future meal. I know that Virginia McCoon last week said she would like for us to do Chinese one night. So coming up probably in 2 weeks, we'll do Chinese, and we're looking forward to that. Now, it's hard to do Chinese because it's basically rice-based. When Debbie and I were in China, did we have any rice-based foods in China?
No, we did not have any rice at all.
We went to China and visited China a number of times. And it's funny because the foods you have in China are not what you consider Americanized Chinese food at all. It is so different
So
than
yucky.
what we would have at a Chinese restaurant. Now, Debbie didn't think it was that good. A lot of fish, a lot of seafood, and the Chinese guys, this is amazing. When they put a fish down, they'll put a whole fish that's been steamed down, or, hey, PJ, or braised in the middle of the table, and all the Chinese guys will get up and they'll go for the eye. They'll try to eat the eye of the fish. That's a real delicacy. Whoever gets the eye is very special. I wasn't into fish eyes.
No.
I ate a lot of crazy things, but I did not eat a fish eye.
No. You hear our birds?
I do not hear
Singing?
the birds.
Yes.
The birds are chirping. We got, what do we have? We've got a canary. Little Beanie is a canary, an orange canary. And we've got parrotlets. What are they called?
Turquoisine.
Turquoisine parrotlets. Yeah, turquoisine parrotlets.
Kevin
All right,
Attahan is watching.
Who?
Attenhan.
Who?
Kevin.
Oh, Kevin, man. He's
Am
one
I
of our.
saying his name right?
No.
Attenhan.
He's one of our.
Attenhan?
He's one of our fellow Optavia coaches. Good to hear from you, man. Y'all been doing some traveling and all kinds of stuff. I hope everything's going well with you. Are you going to convention? Put a 1 in the chat.
Amanda Johnson is watching.
Amanda, so good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so we're going to let
That's
this just a
looking
couple
good.
of minutes on the steak because it doesn't need long. Again, a steak doesn't have to be, some people eat steak tartare. I ordered steak one time at a restaurant, and I was trying to tell them how to cook it. It was at Longhorn Steakhouse, and I said, I want you to just throw it on the grill till it gets warm on one side and throw it on the other side till it gets warm. And they brought it to me, and it was so rare, I thought it would still move. I didn't mean for it to be quite that rare, but I ate it anyway. I got a pretty iron stomach. I can
Yes, you do.
eat most anything.
Yes,
I'll
you
have to
do.
tell you, in China, they kind of test American businessmen when you're in China to see if you're, I don't know. They're just testing your machismo, I guess. And we had this, they have these prawns, which are shrimp, and they were swimming in this putrid pond water. Oh, it's just ugly water. And the thing is, you're supposed to dip it in Chinese wine and get the prawns drunk, and then you eat them while they're alive. And most people, of course, wouldn't do that. Well, I didn't have a problem with it whatsoever. I did it just
Well,
fine.
of course not.
Yeah. So anyway, they were all kind of amazed that I did the Chinese drunken prawn
I was
challenge.
amazed.
Yeah, Debbie
And
was
I'm
amazed.
married to you.
Debbie almost threw up for me. So, all right. So now the steak needs to come out and go with all these other good meats. So this will go in here. And now we're building up a little bit of liquid in there. And that's good because we're going to put a thickener in it. Matter of fact, I'm going to pour that liquid back in there. And I got an escapee here. We're going to pull him in. Again, we're going to cover this with foil. And we're going to start putting our veggies in. I am going to find my
You
veggie
need some
scraper
more
somewhere.
EOVO?
Nope. It's good like it is. Okay, so the veggies go in.
I see you using your bench scrape today.
I did. I found my bench scraper, and I'm going to use it. Keep from dulling my chef's knife. So the bench scraper goes with that. Here goes all.
Amanda Johnson loves your live cooking.
Well, Amanda, I'm glad you do. I love doing them, to be honest with you. I've always liked to cook, and I kind of like to be on camera, so it works out well. And fortunately, I have a wife who likes for me to do all this. She likes to eat. So.
And I like to be behind the camera, not in front.
Well, I appreciate what you do. Not everybody has. We were talking the other night in the racing world. We were doing a racing show the other night, and people were talking about their wives, how supportive they are. And I said, that is the main thing. If your wife doesn't support you in your racing efforts or in your efforts, you're behind the 8 ball to start with. And I have a very supportive wife. Man, she was a racing widow for 30 years we've been married. I was gone every Friday and Saturday night, many times way out of the region, many times way out of state. I would be the next day coming home, and she supported me through all of that. And I am very thankful, sweetheart.
Well, you're welcome.
Wives make the world go round in racing, so that home front is very important. And I have it easy because I was just gone during the actual races themselves. Look at these guys that work on their race cars. They are out there every night in the shop working on the race cars and at the track as much as I am. So you got to hand it to these racers. They put in a lot of time, and the families who are willing to give them up during those times. My hat's off to you. I really appreciate all your efforts.
Roger Murray is watching.
Roger Murray, how you doing, man?
That is looking so pretty and colorful.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? And I'm going to put
Rebecca Sewell Smith is
Rebecca,
watching.
yeah, I was hugging Rebecca at church Sunday, and her daddy, Mr. Sewell, said, better watch hugging strange women. And I said, I beg your pardon, but I have known Rebecca since she was 5 years old. I don't think she's a strange woman.
No, I don't believe so.
So I'm going to slice an onion and put an onion in there now. It'll cook quicker. Now, I got a little tip. When you're going to be cooking an onion, you need to use a yellow onion or a white onion, but primarily a yellow onion.
That will bring out the sweetness.
Yeah, cooking it will bring out the sweetness in a white onion or a yellow onion. When you're using a raw onion, like we're going to do in our guacamole here in a few minutes, we're going to be, that one went away. We're going to be using a red onion. So anytime you're doing a red onion has a little milder flavor, but the white onion, the sweetness gets dispersed, and the mild flavor, or the strong flavor of a regular onion.
Those are big chunks.
Yeah, you want them in strips. They'll come down into strips.
Okay.
All is well, sweetheart. So
Rebecca says, old friends are best friends.
Old friends are best friends. There's no doubt about that. I tell you what, me and Rebecca got in trouble for talking more than you would want to know. Me and her and Terry Dean, who is now Terry Edmonds, and Lynn Ariel, we were constantly being called out. But you know, Rebecca, the good thing about it was teachers couldn't say much to us because we were all good students. We were such good students that they just pretty much let us get by with stuff.
Yeah. Keith Baker's watching.
Keith Baker, man. Keith Baker took that car to Victory Lane the other night. I'm impressed. That was a big deal. And back in the saddle after so many years of not being in there, that was quite impressive. I'm going to put a little canola oil because I don't drink, but I've got this great bottle that I use. Everybody knows what kind of bottle that is. I just think it's cool as heck to have it on the counter. And,
it's a Crown Royal bottle.
Yes, it's a Crown Royal bottle.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know where I got it, but anyway, I came up with it. That's not something we would have in our pantry.
Well, you've enjoyed it.
I have. I love it as that, and I love this this bottle I got somewhere that I keep olive oil in too. It's a green bottle. I don't know what it's from, but I like it. So that's going to continue to cook on down here for a minute or two. Now let me check on the other part of the party that's coming to the dance.
It smells so good.
Yeah. So while that continues to cook down, I have got to have a bowl to put junk in. I didn't get that out earlier. Should have. So we got to get rid of all the junk. Got too much on my board. I'm going to start making the guacamole salad.
Don't you hear the birds?
I hear the birds. Birds singing sweetly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to start out with an avocado. Here's a tip on avocados. Try to get one that has the stem left in it. There's less of a chance of it being brown inside if the stem is still on it. So when you're shopping, this is a Hass avocado. Try to get one that
How
has the
should
stem in
it
it.
feel?
Okay, it should feel like this. On the bottom side, right down here at the butt end of it, you should feel just a little bit of softness. Not soft over the whole thing, but a little bit of softness. And that's your way to not totally ensure, because you never know till you cut these things open.
Well, this man asked me in the produce department the other day, like I know anything, but he wanted to know if his avocado was a good one that he would picked out. And of course, I couldn't help.
Look at that. Perfect. Is an absolute perfect avocado. So I am tickled with that. And again, those 2 tips for avocado choosing are some of the best tips for that. I need to get a little bowl to put this in. If you can tell, I'm a bit discombobulated tonight because
Well, we got a late start.
we got a late start, and so I'm going to fix this, and I'm going to fix it in a red bowl tonight. Go back here and stir all of this up. And I'm going to take this and watch that stem right there. And we will just get all of this avocado out of here.
We apologize for any slow connection. I keep
Oh, we got
seeing
slow
that pop up.
connections?
Yes, I keep seeing
Why
that
is
pop
that?
up.
We got brand new internet service and it ought to be going
Don't
well.
know.
Don't understand.
Kevin Rich is watching.
Oh, Kevin. Hey, man, how you doing? I saw you asking if there are any shows around this week. Did you find some great horse shows to go to? Hope you did. Hope you're doing well. I know last time I talked to you, you were a little disheartened with the horse show world. I hope that has picked up for you since then. Okay, Debbie, you got a phone call coming in.
Hello.
And while Debbie is busy on the phone, I'm going to continue to work here.
Okay, great. I'll pick them up. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ah, I heard that through the grapevine there. Your prescriptions are ready, right?
Yes, they are.
Well, that's good to know. Boy, I tell you what, these are a little more, this avocado didn't have it wasn't as ripe as I'd hoped it would be, so it's causing me a little bit of difficulty here. I'm going to have to get the old potato masher out to mash this up. Usually, avocados, the ones I've been getting lately have been brown. So I'm fortunate that I found a good one this time that wasn't. But it's a bit, there we go.
Joan Beggs is watching.
Joan, I hope you're doing well. Good to hear from you. So there's our avocado mashed up. We're going to put the juice, and when I checked out Donna Grafton today, said, that's a little bitty lime. I said, yeah, I don't need much. And I didn't want to have half of one hanging around. So I've got my lime here. So I'm going to put some lime juice in. So the lime juice goes in like that. And here's a second thing of lime juice. So that goes in. Let me get over here and do some more work on this. That is looking so good, honey. I am excited. So this is going to go back in. It's going to cook down for 3 or 4 minutes. I want that to get all mushy and meldy. Now, for this avocado, we're going to do a couple of things. I'm going to take, we got tomatoes out of our garden. Love these fresh tomatoes. So I'm going to take a couple of slices here of this fresh tomato. And I'm going to cut it up into little chunks. This is a real juicy tomato. So it's going to go in. And I'm also going to add a bit of remember I told you about how to eat anything you're serving raw, you should use a red onion. So I'm going to take a slice of red onion, and I'm going to cut it up. I want to dice it up pretty finely. And then dice this section up right here. And I'm going to ask Debbie, I know the answer to this, but are you going to want to have any guacamole?
No.
Okay, since Debbie's having no guacamole,
You're going to put a jalapeno in.
I'm going to dice a jalapeno and put it in. But I am going to remove the ribs so it's not so hot. Ribs
You
and
haven't
seeds.
put the shrimp in yet.
I know.
Here's the shrimp.
So ribs and seeds come out.
Can't see through your hand.
Well, I'm sorry about that. And I'm going to cut it up into little matchsticks. I think I'm just going to use a half a one. Put that in there. That goes in the bowl. And we'll be putting some cilantro in a minute. Now, let's get back over here. That's looking so good. Just about ready to start building our fajita sauce. But first, we're going to be putting in our shrimp. That's a pound of shrimp. And we're going to put in a Roma tomato. And this, again, is one from our garden. The reason we use Roma tomatoes, they don't have as much juice as a Better Boy or whatever those, heirloom or any of those tomatoes. So they don't have near the juice in them. So we're going to put a tomato in. On the recipe, it says 10 grape tomatoes, but I'm just going to put a couple of tomatoes in like that.
Cody Peppers is watching.
Cody, man, I hope you're doing well. Good to hear from you tonight. Where are you watching from? Jefferson, Winder, where are you at? Now, we just need to cook this 3 or 4 minutes till the shrimp get done, and they'll turn pink. And while that's going on, let's get some cilantro here. And I don't like a lot of cilantro. I like a little bit. So I'm going to take about this much, which will be about 2 tablespoons when it's all said and done. And I'm going to chop that up really finely. Good thing about cilantro, you can actually use the stems of cilantro. Unlike parsley, where you don't want the stems in anything, cilantro, you can actually use the stems.
Lanier Hardman is watching.
Lanier, man, I hope you're doing well. Man, so many of my buds are watching tonight.
Gloria Chief.
Gloria, good to have you on here. So there is our guacamole that's going to go on top of our guacamole.
That looks really pretty.
Isn't
I
it pretty?
just don't like guacamole.
I know you don't, but it's very pretty, isn't it? And I'm going to add to that just a pinch of salt. And now here's something else I like to put in mine. I like to put a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. That just helps more with the acidity than what the lime juice does, and it gives it a great taste. Nobody ever has that on a recipe. It's just something I devised myself, apple cider vinegar. All right, so the shrimp is getting nice and good. Let's let them get down and touch the pan a little better. Now, while this is going on, let me tell you about wraps. Here's a couple of wraps. I'm going to start this one up right here. You put wraps in for about 10 seconds. And this is a low-carb spinach wrap. So we're going to give that a shot and see how it does. And now Debbie has said that she wants to try one of these cheese wraps. Now, I've never used a cheese wrap before. Again, these are very lightweight. They're light in carbs. Yeah, it's a cheddar cheese wrap. And you have to do these in a microwave. So I'm going to go stick this in our brand new microwave. We had to get a new microwave last week.
Yes, we did. It was a rust bucket.
It was a rust bucket. It says a minute and a half. That seems like an awfully long time.
Look at my beautiful new microwave.
Yeah, how about this? Check that out. It's all pretty and black inside. First black microwave I've ever seen. I'm going to put this in for a minute. It says a minute and a half. That's a bit much. All right, so we're going to put this wrap. It only needs to go in here about 10 or 12 seconds on either side. So the shrimp is looking really good right now. So it's time now to start putting in all of the other goodies. So we've got a little bit of liquid down in there. I'm going to add just a bit of water because I'm going to be putting in not cornstarch, but the substitute for cornstarch, which is xanthan gum. So the xanthan gum, which is right here, is going to go in. And I'm going to just put it in slightly at a time because I want to make sure I gauge how much of it I'm putting in and how it's thickening. So I want it to thicken. I don't want it to clump. I want it to thicken. So we're going to put that in a little bit at a time and keep plenty of liquid going around it. And that way it will be in really good shape and give us the thickening power we need. Now, if you're using xanthan gum, it's a 1-to-1 ratio of what you'd normally use for cornstarch. So keep that in mind. We're also putting in a little bit of cumin, a little bit of garlic salt, garlic powder. This is making our fajita seasoning. Now, when you buy fajita seasoning, too much sodium and so forth, but this gives you exactly what you need. And here's a little bit of smoked paprika to go in as well. That's what you need for fajita seasoning.
Oh.
So all of that goes in there. Man, doesn't that look good?
Really does.
All right. This wrap is done. It is ready. All of this is ready. The only thing we need to do for our guacamole salad now is chop up a little bit of lettuce to put under it. So I'm going to chop some lettuce up. Debbie's not going to have any guacamole salad, so I'm just making enough for me here. I like to cut that one time across there. Let me plate this up and let you see what it looks like.
Yummy.
Yes, yummy, yummy, yummy time. Okay, so we're going to take the lettuce, put it right there. I don't want to put any tomato on there because I got tomato here.
Yeah.
We'll have some guacamole going on top of that. Look how what am I trying to say? Low fat sour cream. So that's for Debbie to have in hers. I am going to use this wrap and I am going to make one fajita with it. So again, this is a healthy version of fajitas. Now let's check out this cheese wrap and find out what it's all about. Now just keep on.
There we go. We're back.
And sometimes it catches up when it buffers like that. So do not
okay.
dismay. It may catch back up. So we're going to put that on there. Debbie wants a little sour cream, and I have that for her. Get another serving spoon here.
There's my cheese fajita.
There's the cheese fajita. There's a little sour cream. That's low-fat sour cream. And she's going to want just a hair. I know Debbie. She's going to want
pepper.
a hair of salt and a bit of pepper on hers. So that is a fajita for her with a cheese wrap. Here's a fajita for me with guacamole salad and a spinach wrap. So we're going to try these out and we'll let you know how they are.
Shrimp
They're going to be good. Aren't they good?
Shrimp are poking their heads out.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week on Tuesday night. Thanks so much. Thanks to our sponsors, Quality Foods in Toccoa, America's #1 weight loss solution. We would love to coach you to better health. Debbie and I have lost 200 pounds on this thing. And we would love to coach you exactly how we did it and let you come along to ride with us. It is phenomenal. And also Ebenezer, a place of hope. We'll see you there on Sunday. Y'all take it easy. We'll see you again next Tuesday night on the Healthy Happy Hour. Bye-bye.